Welcome back to Phantastic Feast. I'm your host, Thuy Phan. What I'm going to show you how to make today is something called scones. And if you've ever been to London or some European city, then you know about scones because they go wonderful with tea and coffee. Or if you've been to a coffee shop like Starbucks or a local tea shop, then you know what scones are. They're a really great breakfast treat, and sometimes they're shaped like triangles, sometimes like biscuits, but I'm going to show you how to make a chocolate coconut scone. So let's get started. This is what you will need today for this recipe. You need 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then you also need half a teaspoon of salt, 1 egg, then you need 1 stick of very cold butter, and then you also need half a cup of coconut milk, and then you need half a cup of coconut flakes, and then you need half a cup to 2/3 of a cup of chopped chocolate, and then we have here 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So basically what you need, either if you don't have a pastry cutter, you can use a fork, 2 forks, or a knife to kind of cut the butter in. So what we'll do first is we'll chop some of the chocolate and then we will chop the butter as well. So let's get started. Chocolate, just gonna give it a rough chop. Now our chocolate's ready. Sometimes what people will do is freeze the butter first to make sure it's extra cold. And we will chop this into small pieces and cut it into our flour. Chocolate and coconut are a really great combination, and I actually add both of that to my banana bread when I make it, and it always comes out really well. I always really enjoy it. So you don't think it'd be a great flavor combination, but it actually works together really wonderfully. So I'm just cutting the butter to smaller pieces. What I will do now is cut it to. And what you want to do is take your pastry cutter and you cut your butter into the flour. And basically it just kind of incorporates the butter, the flour together. And then now what we want to do is kind of use our fingers to really incorporate it so that we get kind of like a damp sand texture. So now I'll add half cup of sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of salt to this. The baking powder is a leavening agent to help rise. Okay, so what we want to do now is whisk our egg and our coconut milk together before we add it to our flour mixture. You can also add a teaspoon of vanilla extract if you want to this. So this is the texture that you want. It kind of is like a damp sand and the butter is incorporated. And when you do this, it smells so good. What we're going to do next is add our liquids and combine it. See the dough starting to come together. And now I'll add our add-ins, the chocolate and the coconut. If you find your dough is too wet, you just add a little bit more flour. If it's too dry, you can add a little bit more coconut milk. Okay, there we go. So now we have our dough ready, and what we want to do is lightly flour the surface. You can do a cutting board or wherever you're at, just to make sure that it doesn't stick. Okay. And what you do is you take the dough, and you want to press this out till it's a circle. And then we're going to cut this. Okay. I will cut it into triangles. So then you end up getting 8. Just make sure. Okay. And then we will transfer this to a baking sheet with parchment paper on it and bake it at 350 degrees for about 20 minutes or so till it's golden brown, and we'll put an egg wash on it. Here I have our pan. So what we want to do is add an egg wash to this, and then you can add sprinkled turbinado sugar on top if you want, or you can even put more coconut. But we're going to do a chocolate glaze at the end, so I won't do either. And just do a light egg wash. Okay, and this is ready for the oven. Wow, that smells so good. Our scones are ready. They're nice and lightly brown and toasted. So you have a lot of choices on how to finish this. You can eat them as is, or you can do a chocolate drizzle. And basically you just want to melt some chocolate and coconut oil together. And then we can also add coconut flakes on top. So this consistency you're looking for. Just basically melted some chocolate with coconut oil. Now I'm going to just finish it up with some coconut. Try our scone. Perfect little bite. Mmm. Mmm. That is so good. It's buttery, it's flaky, and it's so light. It's not like that hard nugget that you think of with scones. It's so fresh. You can taste the butter and the coconut. So crumbly inside. I got chocolate on my fingers. That is a delicious scone. That's going to do it for us here on Phantastic Feast. Thank you so much for joining us. And we had a chance to make some really delicious chocolate coconut scones that you can adjust to whatever flavor you want. Hopefully you join us again next time. Thanks again.